My heart stopped when I saw my daughter's bloody face. Her two front teeth were gone, her lips swollen and stained red. 11-year-old Emma, born with Down syndrome, was crumpled on the grass in her favorite yellow dress now, soaked in blood. And standing over her, fist still clenched, was the woman we all feared in our neighborhood, Ruth McAllister, president of the Ridgeview Lakes HOA. She looked down at Emma like she was trash. She was on my property, Ruth snapped, pointing to the thin strip of lawn between our houses. I've warned you before. Keep that child under control. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You hit my daughter, I shouted. She's a disabled child. Ruth didn't flinch. People like you don't belong here. She spat, just as a few neighbors started gathering, their faces tight with worry, but none dared speak up. Emma clutched my hand, tears mixing with the blood on her cheeks. Mommy, she whispered. The mean lady said I can't live here. Something in me cracked. This wasn't about grass or flowers. It was about my daughter's right to exist without fear. Call 911. I told our neighbor, Mr. Lewis, we need an ambulance and the police. Now. Ruth just laughed. Don't be dramatic. She fell. I barely touched her. She flicked lint off her designer blouse. Good luck. My husband golfs with the police chief every weekend. Officer Daniels arrived minutes later. Ruth was already surrounded by her HOA friends, murmuring support. I explained everything, still holding Emma as she bled on my shirt. Ruth cut in before I could finish. She was tearing up my flower bed. I told her to stop. She's, those kind of kids clumsy. I felt like I was going to scream. My daughter wasn't near your flowers. And even if she was, that doesn't justify assault. Ruth didn't even look at me. They can't control their own kid, she said to the officer. We all know this has been a problem. This affects our home values. The officer looked nervous, glancing at Ruth, then at me. Ma'am, did anyone see what happened? No one said a word. I need to take my daughter to the hospital, I finally said, carrying Emma to our car. But this isn't over. Ruth gave me a smug smile. Maybe this will help you realize this neighborhood isn't for everyone. The ER doctor was horrified. This is assault, he said firmly. 2 teeth completely knocked out. Trauma to the gums. I have to report this. Please, I said, holding Emma's trembling hand. He glanced up. This happened in Ridgeview Lakes? You know it? He sighed. My sister lived there for a year. Ruth made her life hell. But hitting a child? That's different. I'll make sure this gets to the DA's office. When we returned home, an orange violation notice was taped to our front door. Unapproved yard modifications. $500 fine. The next day, another unapproved paint color $7.50. We hadn't painted anything. By the end of the week, we'd been hit with 7 violations totaling over $4. 000. Ruth was sending a message. Leave or be crushed. But what she didn't know was that before Emma was born, and before cancer took my husband, I had been a civil rights attorney. I still knew how to fight. I called Mark Chun, an old colleague. After I explained everything, he didn't hesitate. This is textbook housing discrimination. Let's build a case. We installed a security camera on our lawn legal, but in full view. Then we filed a lawsuit, one against Ruth personally, and another against the HOA for discrimination and harassment. And then an anonymous email arrived. No name, no subject, just a video file and the words, "Not all of us are like her." The footage was from a recent HOA meeting. There was Ruth, standing in front of the group. I don't care what the law says. If we let disabled kids move in, property values go down. Period. We need to send a message that Ridgeview isn't the place for people like that. Someone asked, couldn't that be considered discrimination? Ruth laughed. Please. My husband handles stuff like that. No one can touch us. We posted everything online: Emma's photo, the video, the ER report, and all the fake HOA notices under the title, Justice for Emma. The post went viral overnight. By morning, news crews were outside our home. Then, just after midnight, a brick crashed through our front window with a note, "Leave or else." This time, Officer Rivera responded. She was different, serious, compassionate. "This is the fourth brick attack in Ridgeview in the past year," she told me. "Always against families who complain about the HOA." I looked at her, stunned. Why hasn't anyone spoken up? They were scared. But your website? It changed that. My phone's been blowing up. The next day, the district attorney called. "We're pressing charges, assault on a vulnerable person, harassment, and conspiracy to violate civil rights. And we're investigating the HOA." By that afternoon, Ruth was arrested, released on bail within hours. Her supporters gathered outside our house, holding signs like "Protect our property values." But they were met with a larger crowd, neighbors holding signs that read, "Emma belongs here." Then came the most unexpected moment. Ruth's husband, Harold, came to our door. "I want to apologize," he said quietly. "For her. For me. I should have stopped it." He placed a flash drive on our kitchen table. "There's more. Financial records. Emails. Bribes. You want to see it?" 6 months later, the courtroom was packed. Ruth sat at the defense table, her face pale and blank. Emma took the stand, her voice shaky but clear. "I was picking a flower. The lady called me dirty. She said I didn't belong. Then she hit me. Really hard." Not a dry eye in the room except Ruth's. The verdict, guilty on all charges. The judge sentenced her to 5 years in prison, $2 million in damages, and a lifetime ban from HOA positions. A federal probe into Ridgeview's HOA was launched immediately. But what mattered most came later. The HOA board was replaced with one that embraced inclusion. Emma was invited to join community activities. And at the Everyone Belongs block party, she finally smiled again, truly smiled, surrounded by friends who saw her, not her diagnosis. That night, as I tucked her in, Emma whispered, "Do I really belong here now?" I brushed her hair from her face. "You always did." Because sometimes, the fight for justice isn't just for one child, it's for everyone who's ever been told they don't belong.